Hello friends, welcome to PSC Collegiate English. Today let us look at the poem Philip Larkin's Church Going. Philip Larkin, 1922 to 1985. He was an he was an English poet, novelist and librarian. He edited the Oxford Book of 20th Century. He declined the position of poet laureate when it was offered to him. S.K. Chatterjee says, I quote, Larkin is no longer just a name, but an institution, a modern British national monument. Unquote. Larkin's style was traditional. The subject matter was derived from modern life. In 1946, Larkin discovered poetry of Thomas Hardy. Larkin focused on intense personal emotion but strictly avoided sentimentality or self pity. Larkin's words possesses what Martin Amis has termed frictionless memorability. Now let us look at the works of Philip Larkin. He has written poetry. Some of them are The North Ship 1945, The Less Deceived 1955, The Whitsun Wedding 1964, High Windows 1974. He has also authored novels Jill in 1946, A Girl in Winter in 1947. He has written criticism, essays, and reviews on jazz music as well. Some of them are All What Jazz, A Record Diary 1961 to 1968. Required Writing, Miscellaneous Pieces 1955. Okay, coming to the poem as such, poem The Church Going. Once I am sure there is nothing going on, I step inside, letting the door thud shut. Another church, matting, seats, and stone, and little books sprawling of flowers cut for Sunday, brownish now, some brass and stuff. Up at the holy end, the small, neat organ, and a tense, musty, unignorable silence. Brood God knows how long. Hatless, I take off my cycle clips in awkward reverence. Move forward, run my hand around the font. From where I stand, the roof looks almost new, cleaned, or restored. Someone would know. I don't. Mounting the lectern, I peruse a few hectoring large scale verses and pronounce, Here endeth, much more loudly than I meant. The echo snigger briefly. Back at the door, I signed the book, donate an Irish pence. Reflect the place was not worth stopping for. Yet stop I did. In fact, I often do, and always end much at loss like this, wondering what to look for, wondering too, when churches fall completely out of use, what we shall turn them into, if we shall keep a few cathedrals chronically on show, their parchment, plate, and picks in locked cases, and let the rest rent free to rain and sheep. Shall we avoid them as unlucky places? Or after dark, will dubious women come to make their children touch a particular stone, pick simples for a cancer, or on some advised night see walking a dead one? Power of some sort or another will go on in games, in riddles, seemingly at random. But superstition, like belief, must die. And what remains when disbelief has gone? Grass, weedy pavement, brambles, buttersky, a shape less recognizable each week, a purpose more obscure. I wonder who will be the last, the very last, to seek this place for what it was. One of the crew that tap and jot and know what rude laughs were. Some ruin bibber randy for antique or Christmas addict, counting on a whiff of gown and bands and organ pipes and myrrh. My, or will he be my representative? Bored, uninformed, knowing the ghostly silt dispersed, yet tending to this cross of ground through suburb scrub because he held it unsplit so long and equable what since is found only in separation, marriage and birth and death and thoughts of these for whom was built this special place, this special cell. For though I have no idea what this accounted frosty barn is worth. It pleases me to stand in silence here. A serious house on serious earth it is, in whose blent air all our compulsions meet, are recognized and robbed as destinies, and that much never can be obsolete, since someone will forever be surprising a hunger in himself to be more serious, and gravitating with it to this ground, which he once heard was proper to grow wise in, if only that so many dead lie around. Coming to the analysis of the poem, Churchgoing is one of the best loved poems. This particular poem is found in the collection The Less Deceived, published in 1955. In an interview in 1981, Larkin said, I quote, "It came from the first time I saw a ruined church in North Ireland." Unquote. By the mid 1950s, the Church of England was in the process of long and gradual decline, both in numbers and authority. Coming to the background which led Larkin to write this poem, Larkin had kept a newspaper clipping from the Church Times on May 7, 1954, entitled, I quote, "Save Our Church Week," unquote, announcing a campaign for the Historic Churches Preservation Trust. In the clipping, the Archbishop of Canterbury said that over 2,000 churches must be helped at once from falling into ruin. Churchgoing is a medium length poem that explores the issues of the church as a spiritual base. It begins ordinarily enough, as do many of Larkin's poems, then progresses into the subject matter. The theme mentioned in the poem are religion, the established church, the need to worship, the ceremony of ritual, the future of church, superstition, religious feelings. The structure of the poem is it consists of 7 stanzas, each with 9 iambic pentameter lines. It uses use of end rhymes and enjambment. The rhyme scheme of the poem is ABAB, CAECE. Now let us look at the poem at a glance. Although the poem is very simple, the speaker glances around and notices all the items are consistent throughout all the churches that he had visited. There are books, sets of stones, and unignorable silence that fills the church. He takes to reading the Bible. This ends his tour of the church and he departs after leaving an Irish pence in the donation box. Please remember that he is giving an Irish pence, sixpence. That means that particular currency is not valid in England. He is curious about what the church will be like or what the human race will utilize all the churches for when the last believer is gone. When they have fallen completely out of use, will they be avoided as unlucky places or will the sheep have full reign over their interiors? Now, these are the doubts that come to Larkin's mind when he is in a ruined church. He considers the possibility that in future people will still come to them for a variety of spiritual reasons. Mothers may still bring their children to church to touch a particular stone for luck, or some people will come to the church to see the dead walking. Larkin says, I quote, "Power of some sort will go on even if the traditional religious context is lost." Unquote. The speaker wonders who the last pilgrim might be. Now please remember, rood loft refers to the rood screen is a feature of late medieval church architecture that was situated between chancel and nave at the front of the church. The most important times of life are spent in churches, like birth, death, and marriage are all celebrated in the church. Therefore, church becomes an important part of our lives. The title has two meanings. The title church going has two meanings. One, we going to the church, regular visit to the church. That's one meaning. Another, decline of the institution, as if church itself is going. So we can analyze the title in two ways, these two ways. The most important line, or rather most asked questioned line from this particular poem is, The church is a serious house on the senior's earth, unquote. Often, people confuse this particular line with Emily Dickinson's description of death and tombstone and all. Please remember, when the line is the church is a serious house on senior's earth, that is a reference to church going. A church is a symbol of man's sincere search for ultimate meaning of life.